House needs painting, grass needs mowing, where's he at?
Hi, this is Hank. Sorry I missed your call. Leave me your name and your number and I'll get back to you.
He's gone fishing.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Mossy Oak and Liqua Molly.
Hello and welcome to Off the Water with Hank Parker, and I'm your co-host Sarah Beth, and you are...
Hello, Sarah Beth. I'm Hank Parker, and it's so good to be with you this beautiful day. So let's talk about conservation.
Conservation, that's a good topic. I like that topic.
Hey, I'm going to tell you, I grew up in the Carolinas, and I fished Lake Norman, Lake Hickory, Lake Lookout, Lake James. Later on, I started fishing Lake Wiley, Lake Wateree, and then I went to Santee Cooper. Santee Cooper's two lakes, Lake Marion, Lake Moultrie. Mm-hmm. It was incredible. Big bass, healthy bass, fat bass, lots of dark-colored, beautiful colored bass. And no lake that I had ever fished out of all probably the 10 lakes that I had fished prior was anything like Santee Cooper.
And what year was this?
This was about 1972 or 3.
So, okay, late 1900s, got you.
But what was different about Santee from all the other lakes?
It was rich in its biodiversity. So big fish, healthy population.
But why
of
do you
fish.
think that was?
People didn't know about it? Was it not before it was overfished?
No, it was the most popular lake. It had landlocked striped bass because it had aquatic vegetation. It had coontail, it had milfoil, had hydrilla, had alligator grass. Man, it was the only lake that I'd ever fished that had grass.
Yeah, but now a bunch of people live on the lake. I don't want that grass up in my
We're going to
property.
talk about that. That's going to be our topic for the day. That's our topic. So now, as I progressed in my career as a professional angler, I have traveled to a lot of different places. And I would go to Texas, I go to Rayburn, go to a lot of the different lakes throughout the state of Texas, Toledo Bend, and they all had grass. They all had big bass.
And yeah, big bass. I think first thing that came to mind when you said big bass was Florida.
Florida,
crawling with vegetation everywhere.
Vegetation everywhere. Florida, big bass, vegetation. My favorite lake that I ever fished was Gunnersville, Alabama, full of milfoil, hydrilla, gorilla. That's what they call them. They caught these big bass, call them gorillas. Hydrilla, gorilla. And we call it giant bass. All these prosperous lakes had aquatic vegetation, and that supported them. Now, we'll build a new lake, Sharon Harris. We'll build a new lake in North Carolina, and it'll be good while it's new. Falls of the Noose. It'll be really, really good while it's new. All the nutrients will support a new lake, but it peaks out at 5 or 6 or 7 years old, and then it starts to decline. But those lakes that have aquatic vegetation, they maintain and they sustain themselves for the long run. Year after year after year, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, it's still a prosperous lake because it's got grass in it.
Right.
The grass is the lifeline to the bass. Now, we'll say that and we'll make a rhyme. Grass is the lifeline to the bass. Is that profound? But it's absolutely true.
Crickets.
Crickets.
You can hear them now. Silence.
Well, I thought that was pretty good.
Put it on a T-shirt.
So now I fish Lake Murray for years and years and years. Lake Murray, I fished the upper end of Lake Murray. Two rivers come in, the big and those little Saluda rivers.
There's that frog again.
That frog, that drives me crazy. I got COVID years ago, and I never had this problem. And ever since I had that COVID, I've had this drainage problem, and it lasts till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it go away. So from 5 o'clock in the morning until 3 in the afternoon, I have to deal with it. But that's a whole nother topic. We'll go there. The China disease. But
Lord.
I fished Lake Murray for all those years and fished a lot of tournaments there. And their Fulmer brothers kind of fished all around Deer Island and Bear Creek, and they won a lot of tournaments. The guys were incredible fishermen. And but everybody else, most of the tournaments were won either in Crystal River or in the bigger Saluda River, the upper end of Lake Murray. The lower end of Lake Murray did not produce well at all. So all the tournaments were won. Well, then all of a sudden, Murray started getting some hydrilla. And the hydrilla grew in the lower part of the lake where it had never been a productive fishery for winning tournaments. You could catch fish there, but not to win a tournament. Mm-hmm. Well, then Murray did a complete shift. The grass was so productive that the river fishing, I mean, you had to go down the lake to get close to the dam in the lower part of the lake to win. You couldn't win out of the river anymore because there were giant stringers of bass being caught in the lower part of the lake in the grass.
Okay.
And it became one of the best lakes. It was, in my opinion, the best lake in the state. It overshadowed Santee Cooper. And it was just incredible.
Right.
And then they go in and they poison the grass. Now, let me tell you this. Some things you can't sustain with facts, and you got to be real careful to state an opinion. But I'm going to tell you what I was told. I wasn't there, and I can't document it and swear that this happened, but I absolutely, beyond the shadow of a doubt, believe that it did happen. I have a friend who has passed away now who was an awesome fisherman named Keith Henderson. Keith was an incredible fisherman. And when they poisoned the grass at Lake Murray, Keith found one little spot down there that had not been poisoned, and these big bass were in this grass, and so he won the tournament. Well, somehow they discovered this grass, and they went in and they poisoned it. So he was looking with his electronic equipment, and he couldn't distinguish whether this grass had been sprayed or had not been, or had been chemicals released on it or not. So he had a friend who was a diver, a scuba diver. So he took him down where he found some grass that he didn't know whether it was dead or alive, and had him go down and just going to pull it up and pull up a handful and let Keith look at it. So he goes down and he brings the grass up, and the grass has been sprayed. It's dying. And once it turns brown and once the poison's put in it, the fish leave it. I don't know if it changes the pH, but the fish don't hang around in that poisoned grass.
Right.
So Keith looked at it and said, well, can you branch out and just see if there's any green grass? Pull up a handful over here. And the guy said, well, there's dead fish down there everywhere.
Wow.
He said, they're probably carp. Those grass carp, they stay in there, and those grass carp probably ate that poison grass, and it killed them. And the guy said, well, I'm not a fisherman. I don't know what they are. And he said, well, I got a little bag here. It's one of these little cabbage bag looking deals. He said, well, yeah, put some fish in there and bring them up. He brought up about 6 or 8 fish. They were all 6, 7, and 8 pound largemouth bass.
Oh.
He said, is that's what's down? He said, that's what all of them are. They all look just like this fish right here. He held up about a 5 pound bass. He said, they all look like this one. So I'm totally convinced it killed those fish. Killed them.
Well,
killed the fish.
Well, there's no other explanation. Yeah. So you're telling me there's just a mass grave of these random bass. Just so happens to be after you spray that little
I wasn't
patch.
there. I didn't see that. I can't document that. Right. I could not swear to that in a court of law. That would be inadmissible evidence, hearsay. Mm-hmm. So it would not be something that I could document. But I can document this. Before the grass was sprayed, it took about 30 to 35 pounds to win a tournament down there.
Yeah.
Right after the grass was sprayed, the next year it took about 10 pounds. Where are those big fish? I'm going to tell you where they were. They were dead laying on the bottom of the lake. They didn't just go away. And because there wasn't grass there, there were other structure that fish hung around where they caught those 10-pound bags. They would have caught 20-pound bags had those big bass still existed. I don't believe they existed. I believe they died. I believe they were poisoned and killed. And I believe that about a lot of different lakes. Chickamauga, Tennessee, one of the best lakes in the country, they poisoned it. Went to nothing. went to nothing. Don't go to sleep on me now. This is
no. I'm listening.
Okay, I'm hacking with the frog, and you're yawning.
No, I'm into this. I'm listening. Trust me.
So Ray Scott, the founder of Bass, Ray Scott was observing and watching, and he saw the disaster that was taking place with all the poisoning of the grass. So he, being good buddies with George W. Bush, he went all the way to Washington. You know, Ray fought, and a lot of people wasn't aware of this, Ray fought a lot of the Fortune 500 companies back in the 70s that were polluting the water. And Ray took them to court, and actually got our water cleaned up. So here we got a captain, we got a quarterback, we got a guy that we can depend on that is conservation minded. So now Ray's going all the way to Washington D.C. He's and the Corps of Engineers almost are. They are their own authority. They're not accountable to anybody, not even the president. They can get away with absolute murder, and so they got this thing about they want to kill all the aquatic vegetation in the world, or at least that's the way it appears to me. They're everywhere spraying and putting out all these pellets and poison, trying to get rid of the grass, and they call it aquatic grass control. I call it poison. We live in where all the Democrats in America are green, but yet they allow this to go on to poison the lakes.
Well, I think it's lack of information, because it's sold to them in this pretty little package called going green, or hey, it's a control thing, but not really looking at the damage that it's doing to the other creatures. Like, okay, yeah, you might be controlling the grass, and it might do other things, and it's some other benefit, or you might not have grass grow up near your house on the lake. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the biggest complaints is from people that live on the lake wanting to swim and not wanting the grass right up there around their docks and stuff. But I just think it's a lack of information. I don't think people get too much light shed on that. Unless you are a bass fisherman, nobody else would really know. Unless you fish, you're not going to know that those fish are dead.
Yeah, and you're spot on. That's exactly where we're at, and that's exactly where we're going. And here's what's got to happen. The voice, the squeaky wheel, and the power are the people that own these $1 million homes all around the lake. The grass is an eyesore. The grass it hinders navigation. It's tough for them to get their personal watercraft without sucking grass up in it. It's hard for them to get their boats in and out of the dock. And so they're crying foul. They're wanting help. And they pay millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in taxes. Therefore, they need to be represented. Somebody needs to come and kill all this aggravating, ugly grass that's growing around the shoreline in Lake Murray.
Right.
So that's how it started. That's how it ended. And now it's back. And the grass is incredible. The fishing has come alive. But now I went last week to go fish the grass, and the first 3 places we went, the grass had gone from green to brown. I found out just this morning it had been sprayed. It had been sprayed, yeah. I got some fishing buddies that called me and said, "Hey, they're spraying on they're spraying on Murray." I said, "You're kidding me." We've got a new director, Director McMillan, and I talked to him before he was actually sworn into office, and I said, "My big pet peeve is that we don't spray and poison aquatic vegetation. It kills the fish. It destroys the lake." And I wanted to work with the state of South Carolina and help promote freshwater fishing. We've got incredible freshwater fishing, yet our tourism is not real active. So we need to work on that. So I wanted to be a part of that. And I was asked by the commissioner, he said, what can we do for you? I said, don't allow anyone in our state to poison our lakes. Don't let them go in there and spray that aquatic vegetation. He said to me, "Well, I've got a booklet that I believe he said was published by the Corps of Engineers. I'm not sure that that's correct, but he's got a booklet from some wildlife organization, and it could have been the Corps, may not have been, but it talks about the grass takes the oxygen out of the water, and it's actually not good
for the aquatic life. You're talking about like fish,
that's right.
Like the fish.
And I said,
things.
that is the biggest myth. That is absolutely opposite of the truth. That's a 180. That's not at all true. And so with that, there's a lot of misinformation. And for him, that is a wonderful place to feel like it's okay to go in there and spray the grass, because I got a dog that just walked in here and I told him to stay and he didn't stay. But nevertheless, he feels like that if it is not good for the fishery, then by all means, let's get rid of it, because the homeowners don't want it.
Yeah.
And my dog is disturbing me. We're going to take a short commercial break while I go make him sit, and we'll be right back.
We will be right back.
Hey, we sure are appreciative to Mossy Oak Properties. They're sponsoring our show, and we're grateful for that. For more information on Mossy Oak Properties, you can go to mossyoakproperties.com. But they have land specialists. They've got all kind of knowledge and information about land. They're a franchise that are all over this country, and they're really professional. So if you got any real estate needs, go to Mossy Oak Properties, and you can get your answers. I'm picking back up after I was so rudely interrupted by my sweet puppy dog who would not stay. I let him in here because it's air conditioned and cooled, and he don't like the heat so much. But he didn't listen. So I got him back. He'll be good now. I talked to him. So I was picking up on poisoning the lake, destroying the lake, and that's what happened before. The information that the director had that aquatic vegetation was not good for the fishery. It took oxygen out of the water. None of that could be further from the truth.
Right.
So here we go. So I go down there to go frog fishing the other day, and I get down there, and all the places I went, grass had turned brown. Now, I didn't know what caused it. I thought, surely to goodness they've not sprayed all this grass. Well, I get a call this morning and say, hey, I thought you told me they wasn't going to kill the grass in Lake Murray this year. They wasn't going to spray in the state of South Carolina. I said, well, I thought I made that point. He said, well, they're spraying. They're spraying like crazy. They're all over the place, and we got dead grass everywhere.
Wow.
It's so disappointing to me. It is so, I mean, it was like a punch in the gut. Man, we can't destroy our lakes. And because wealthy homeowners, and I've been on the lake, I've lived on the lake, and I know how aggravating it is, but you can't do something for one group of people that happen to live on the lake that are influenced by this aquatic growth to destroy a lake. The lake is way more important, and the revenue opportunity for the state is greater than the income of the homeowners, but there's nobody out there. There's not a voice. We've got to figure out a way that we can come together as a group to stop this, not allow it to happen. Ray took that on, and now for some reason, we can't find all the documents that Ray had. He compiles so much information. And even George W. Bush, while he was in office as president, he and Ray was at a lake. I think the name of the lake was Backstroth. I'm not sure that that's the right name. But they had a combine that cut the grass instead of poisoning. And you could run this combine around people's docks and the shoreline where people didn't want it and keep it cut down. And you would run it about every month, and you keep that grass down there at 6 foot, 7 foot under the surface. It supplied everything the fishery need, and it made navigation possible for the personal watercraft and all the other stuff. And it was successful. I don't know how many millions and millions of dollars the chemicals cost. I don't know what the application cost is, but I would love to see these combines, these grass cutting machines put in all of our lakes instead of using chemicals to poison and pollute our waters. And hey, we're drinking that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
We're drinking that stuff. They talk about, oh man, we're eating corn with Roundup on it. I'd rather eat a cob of corn with Roundup on it than I had drink a glass of water that's got poison in the water.
Personally, rather have neither of them, but that's a big problem, I would say, especially the American system with our meats, our foods, all the preservatives and everything else. Same thing that's going to be in our water systems. They say that they filter it out, but I think there's certain things that you just can't,
Absolutely. You cannot filter certain things out. They're already proving that with certain medications that people take, and then it goes into a system that ends up in the lake, and they can maybe clean the bacteria out of the water, but they're not taking these medicines out of the water. That's an issue.
Yes.
I don't know, but it's crazy to me to allow any agency to go in and poison the water.
Absolutely.
It's stupid.
Well,
it is wrong. It is wrong.
Yeah. Now, I could see where the argument might come to say, well, it's more expensive to run these combines, but that is an effective and eco-friendly way for both parties to get what they want. You're keeping the ecosystem healthy, you're making the homeowners happy, the personal craft owners happy, and you're also making the bass fishermen happy.
All right, I'm gonna go back to our founder of bass, Ray Scott. Mm-hmm. Ray Scott also, and a lot of people don't know that, there is a 10% excise tax on fishing and hunting equipment, not on anything else. It used to be on automobile tires, it used to be on batteries, and all this was done during World War II to raise funds to supply the needs for our soldiers,
right?
Which was all good. Mm-hmm. It was all lifted except hunting and fishing. So now there's a group of people that are petitioning, let's get it off of fishing and hunting equipment. It's not fair. You're right. It's not fair. Right. But Ray said, here's Ray Scott. Yeah. Ray said, no, let's leave it in place. And let's get a law passed that all that money that is collected from hunting and fishing goes back into hunting fishing to preserve our future. Great conservation mind. Great idea. So Ray goes to Dingle Johnson, and they work on a bill to get that money, that excise tax, placed back into the hunting and fishing world. So let's just say there is a need to restock Lake Murray. There's a need to restock Lake Murray. Well, there's no funds from the state. Oh, don't worry, we've got excise tax dollars, and it was put together by two senators, Wallop and Breaux. So it's a Wallop-Breaux bill that says all that money that is collected goes back in to the fisheries and back into the conservation for wildlife.
See, now that's awesome, because especially I think a lot of people overfishing, chemicals, all the other stuff that can affect our populations, and then you're going to have nothing left to hunt or fish.
And so now you got a lot of money out there. All that money is collected, and hey, we got Rather Outdoors, we got Pure Fishing, we got all these big companies in South Carolina. So there's tons of money being generated through excise tax.
Right. Correct.
So, okay, all right, yes, it's expensive to maintain these combines. Yes, that's expensive. Okay, let's buy it with Wallop-Breaux money.
Yeah.
Let us pay for it ourselves.
Right.
But let's get rid of the poison.
Yeah. There's really no excuse at that point to have poison. There's no argument, because you basically have a solution. Political
stuff drives me crazy. They've manipulated that system that they're using Wallop-Breaux money to build boat ramps and picnic shelters. Man, that's not what that money was intended for.
It's not for the people. It's for the wildlife and the ecosystem.
Which benefits the people.
Yes.
We're paying, hey, every time I buy a plastic worm, every time I buy a Lew's rod and reel, every time I buy an Arc fishing lure, I'm paying excise tax. I'm contributing. It's costing me money.
Right.
Let my money be directed in buying these combines if that's what it takes.
Right, and not the chemicals.
But it's so funny that we can't find the documentation that Ray has. Ray compiles so much data and put it together to prove exactly what our commissioner was informed was not true.
Makes you wonder.
Well, it's just aggravating. So here we are. Let's circle the wagons. They're now poisoned. They've destroyed Santee Cooper, by the way. They've poisoned Santee Cooper. Santee went way downhill. Anybody that fished it with any regularity could tell you they saw a tremendous difference. It's now coming back. So what are they going to do? They're going to finish up at Lake Murray, and they're going to go down to Santee Cooper.
Poison it again.
That's exactly what's going to happen. And it seems we have no voice. So you've got, let's just say you've got 15,000 homeowners that are screaming and hollering to poison this grass. Yes, they're powerful. Yes, they've got money. Yes, they're probably in influential positions. But you got a bunch of rednecks like me that don't have a whole lot of money, and some that have less money than I have, but they care just as much as I care. But their voice is not being heard because politically they're not connected and they don't have a lot of influence. But I'm going to tell you, if you're listening to this podcast and you do have a voice and you are important, somehow we have got to find a new Ray Scott. We've got to find somebody that will stand in the gap and quarterback this operation to say, no, we are not we the people. The government is for we the people.
Right.
The vast majority of people that this is affecting do not live on the lake. The vast majority of the people that fish do not live on the lake. The vast majority of people that are drinking the water that they're putting this poison in don't live on the lake. So we should be way more powerful than the people that live on the lake. But the people that live on the lake, they care more because it's affecting them directly. So they're the squeaky wheel.
Right.
So we've got to figure out how we can come together as a group and say, no, we're not going to tolerate this. We can't. And as long as we're not dealing with the Corps, again, the Corps don't answer to anybody. George W. Herbert Bush told Ray Scott, he said, the Corps is their own
thing, their own entity.
They are, and they're not listening to anybody. But bottom line, South Carolina Department of Wildlife and Resources is in charge of our lakes, and they can stop it. And we've got a great commissioner. I believe Commissioner McMillan, I believe he's sincere, and I believe if we can get him the right information and he hears enough voices saying we're opposed to this,
right,
I believe we can get it stopped. It may be too late.
No, well, I was going to say a good idea might be to start a forget the name of it. It's like a thing where a bunch of people, they can sign up like a petition where you can put your name on this to be against it. So then when you have X amount of signatures on this document, you can present it forward as, hey, this many people, we've all said that, hey, this is a problem and we're going to fix it. So it's reaching a goal. But if y'all think that would be a good idea, you can drop a comment down in the comment section below. Whether you're listening on Spotify, there's a comment section. YouTube, there's also a comment section. So please let us know.
Well, we got to figure out a way, I'm going to hopefully I'm going to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. Johnny Morris will be there. Johnny is he's even equal, if not superior, to Ray with a conservation mind. Johnny cares, and he spends more money than anybody on conservation. And I'm going to go to him with this and see if we can't get something done that we need a quarterback. We need somebody that can solidify and pull the voices together. We're out there. All these guys that called me this morning, these fishermen just felt just like I did, like a punch in the gut, man. Because we know what's coming. We know that this incredible fishery that has made such a dramatic and sustained comeback from the time that it was poisoned before, we just now got back to almost the level with the grass it was in.
Right.
We knew within a year we're going to be back to where it was before they ever started poisoning it 20 years ago.
And then they're starting it again. So now it's like the cycle is going to keep repeating until, I think it's time to put some WD-40 on that old squeaky wheel and get that wheel back moving.
So we all need to figure out a way that we can come together. There might be somebody listening to this podcast that wants to be the quarterback. There may be somebody listening to this podcast that says, hey, I know how to go about this. I know how we can get this stopped. I know how we can put a petition together. I know how we can get to the commissioner's office. Yep. There may be somebody that cares as much as I care, that has enough horsepower, which I don't, I'm going to use every little bit of influence that I have in my voice to get it stopped.
Right.
But I don't know whether or not my voice by itself is going to make any impact at all. But I know if we had about 5 million people following and said, hey, it's wrong. I don't fish, but I don't like them putting poison in our lakes. Yep. I don't fish, but I don't think we need to destroy a fishery when we know full well what they're doing is going to be detrimental to that fishery. And then the people that fish say, oh, man, I sure don't want them to destroy our habitat. Don't let them do it. So if we'd all come together as a group that don't want it to happen, then we'll be very impactful. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. Well, one makes up the majority. You know what I'm saying? If all of us put in one, they don't have the mentality that just doing one little thing won't make a difference. You know, there was that story from last Friday. We gone to an event. Anyways, there was a speaker there, and he was telling this story about a little boy with starfish.
Oh yeah,
and it said this man walked onto the beach, and there were thousands of starfish washed up onto the beach. And he saw there was this little boy throwing each starfish back into the tide and saving them. And he walked up to him and he was like, boy, what are you doing? You know, it's going to take you ages. You doing this little bit is not going to make a difference. There's thousands of miles and thousands of starfish all over this beach. What you're doing isn't going to make a difference. And he said the little boy smiled, picked up a starfish and threw it back into the ocean. He said, well, I just made a difference to that one.
And I love that.
That was a good one.
Yeah, he said, you think you're going to make a difference? There's miles of shoreline, and all these starfish that are not back in the water are going to die.
Yep.
And you think you can make a difference? And he picked that one up, and he said, I made a difference to that
one.
And that's what we all got to do. And that's the way you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. We've got a tremendous problem, and it is almost overwhelming. And if we sit back and do nothing, it's obvious they're going to just keep spraying,
right?
Keep poisoning, keep killing, keep polluting, and there's nothing in the world will be done about it.
Yeah.
But if we'll all come together and put some pressure and even awareness, and I'm honest when I say this, I think our commissioners have been misinformed. I think that there's a bunch of lying to get the agenda that they want pushed through. I think there's so much misinformation. And I think it's really easy with creel surveys, with testimony from fishermen that will set the record straight. But we've got to figure out how to come together as a group. If Ray was still with us, it would be easy. It'd be one phone call in Montgomery, Alabama, or Pentalala, Alabama, and Ray would be on it, buddy. He would be on it. But we don't have that now.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out the quarterback, and maybe it's Johnny Morris. Johnny he cares, and he's a conservationist, and I will see him the Hall of Fame dinners at his place in Springfield, Missouri, in just about 3 weeks. I'll get to see Johnny, and I hope that I have an open opportunity to present this to him and see if we can't get something going.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We got a mess.
Yeah.
Again, I'm telling you, to me, it was like a punch in the gut when they told me this morning. They said, oh, no, I've seen them.
Yeah, that's terrible.
2 fishermen. Oh, no, we saw them. We saw
out
them.
there spraying?
Yeah, we saw them. And I saw the evidence and didn't put it together because I thought surely it wouldn't happen. I didn't know if it was maybe the transition from August to September that's causing the grass to turn brown. I just didn't put it together.
Yeah.
But there wasn't no bait in the grass. It was not at all like it had been before.
Well, that's not how it should be. If humans didn't interfere, there would be plenty of vegetation in the lake. It's what those fish would need to thrive. What I would want to know is if that aquatic vegetation that was growing there, if that was placed by man, or if that was something that would have already been. Now, remind me again, was Murray a man-made?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then if it's man-made, then all of it would be...
Yeah, we don't have... But no. Just because the lake was dammed doesn't mean that the aquatic vegetation was put there.
Yeah.
Birds carry it from different waterways, different rivers, different streams. Broad River's got a lot of grass in it now. Yeah. And so to say that somebody put that grass in the lake purposely is not accurate.
Yeah, because
it's a natural.
If it's I was gonna say if it's a natural occurrence, I don't see. I mean, yes, there are invasive species of plant, but I don't understand where the correlation would come into about the grass taking the oxygen out of the water. Like that just it doesn't make
good habitat.
sense.
It takes the oxygen out of the water. It actually depletes. It's not good for the fishery. I
would have to do some research on that one and know the exact. You got a needy dog over here.
He didn't listen, did he?
No.
He's about like Martha.
Oh, wow. She's going to listen to this later. You're going to get it.
Trouble. Martha would say he's about like Hank. And Martha would be more accurate. My dog is more like me. He's hard-headed. He's a knucklehead. So, okay, I'm going to take that. Let me back up. I apologize to Martha. That was my bad. I just took opportunity when it presented itself, and that was a mistake. I'll pay for that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But going back to the grass, we got to come together. We got to find us a quarterback. Hopefully it'll be Johnny. But we all need to be concerned. We all need to be upset. We all need to be writing letters to the South Carolina Department of Wildlife Resources and say we're opposed to this. We don't like pollution. We don't like poison, and we're not going to buy the idea that this chemical that they're putting in is a neutral chemical that is not polluting. I don't buy that for 1/2 second.
Or not hurting us as well in our water.
You know, when they sprayed Chickamauga, Harold Sharp, who was at one time the tournament director with Ray at Bass, Harold Sharp got a copy of the label. And they were spraying this in Lake Chickamauga in the summertime when people were water skiing, people riding personal watercraft. And on the label it says, do not make contact with the water for 90 days, no swimming, no boom, boom, boom.
So then if it's not harmful, then why would you have to say that?
Well, let's see a copy of the label that they're spraying. And let me see that label.
Give me the brand. Drop the brand.
Yeah.
Don't be shy.
But they're going to tell you, oh, no, we're non-invasive. What we're doing is it just takes the oxygen out of the grass and it dies. It doesn't pollute the water. Well, let me read that label. Come on. All this grass killing stuff that we use, how many lawsuits do you see on television now because it's caused cancer?
So many.
And
too many.
Yeah, and they got a multi-billion-dollar settlement. So the courts ruled that the chemical companies were wrong, that it is toxic. It does cause disease. And so they made a settlement in the billions.
Yeah.
So it's a bunch of bull when they say it's non-invasive. I don't buy it at all. So
me either.
We got to do something. I don't know exactly how to go about it. I wish I had a more powerful voice. I wish I was more organized, that I could put this together and I could be the quarterback.
Right.
But I'm not in that position. Hopefully somebody listening that is or will have a better idea. Please comment on this. Please come back to us and tell us what you think and what we can do about it. And hey, let me just say up front, I understand it's an inconvenience to that homeowner. I understand that it's not as beautiful as the water itself when it's around the shoreline. To a non-fisherman. To me, it's absolutely gorgeous because I know what it provides.
It's fish, yeah.
But to a person that don't fish, it just wants to look out on the water.
It's ugly, an eyesore.
Yeah, I understand it. But hey, one way we can get rid of it is let's kill all the birds. Let's kill every bird, every duck, every blue heron, every kind of waterfowl there is. Let's kill all of them, and then we'll stop spreading.
I'm just waiting for somebody to just clip that one thing of what you just said about like Hank Parker's and kill it all.
That makes as much sense to me as putting poison in the water. Let's just kill all of the birds.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just, or let's kill all the people that don't like it. Or let's kill all the people that do like it.
And now we get into genocide, That's terrible.
But that's how much sense it makes to me. It just doesn't make sense to me that we allow them to put poison in the lake. And it's just frustrating as a fisherman, but it's even frustrating to a conservationist that wants clean water. Man, we should not be putting chemicals in the water to control aquatic vegetation. It's poison.
It is.
I know I'm beating the same horse over and over again. I'm hoping I'm getting somebody on board. I'm hoping that people feel what I feel, and I hope that people care as much as I care, and I hope we can come together. And I promise you, as I get this frog out of my throat, I promise you that I'm not going to quit. My voice may not be, but I'm going to be like that little boy throwing those starfish.
Spread it everywhere. Absolutely.
I'm going to keep walking the beach. I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to do everything I can to get it stopped. And I'm going to talk to all the people that I think can help, and we're going to work on this project. And I hope that everybody that's listened to this podcast, we can all come together, get in one accord to realize we got to get this stopped, and to realize that the opposition is powerful.
Right.
Those homeowners are really upset, and they're very powerful. And boy, they are the squeaky wheel. They're not going to quit squeaking. So we got to squeak louder.
Well, I was going to say, they might not also know how bad that actually is. Like, to them, they're just thinking cosmetic wise, or like you said, like for your equipment or your boats, they might not realize how much that actually affects the bass, because they're getting fed the same lies that the chemical company is telling all of us. You know what I'm saying? So they're probably like, well, they said it's fine. But anyways, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. All of the links will be down in the description below. All of our Mossy Oak links as well from Mossy Oak Properties and Native Nurseries, those will be down in the description, as well as Huckleberry Apparel and all of our social media links.
Well, how about Liquamolly?
And Liquamolly.
They're a great company, and we appreciate them so very much. But let me just say to you, in closing, I'm upset. I think it's a really, really bad deal, and I may be overreacting in some areas, but overall, it is detrimental to our environment, and we need to come together and figure out a way to put a stop to it. And it will, as Sarah Beth said, it will reoccur.
It's gonna
5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 years from now, when it starts making a comeback, it'll happen all over again if we don't. It may be too late now to save what has happened if they've already sprayed all this grass, but it may not be. So let's go to work, and at least we can prevent it from happening in the future. So let's all go to work and come together and figure out a way. Give us some comments, give us some feedback, and and we're going to run with it. And we do appreciate you watching the podcast. I hate to be controversial. I never want to stir up controversy, but there's some things you got to stand firm on, and some things you have to. And we're backed in a corner, and you just got to fight your way out. So that's what I intend to do. Hey, we want to give a shout out to our friends at Liquamolly. Tell us about Liquamolly, Sarah Beth.
Liquamolly, they have all of your engine needs. They have oil, they have cleaner, they have basically anything you could possibly imagine. They have gun grease, y'all. If y'all hunt, they got gun grease.
Good stuff.
And you can go to liquamolly.com, and they have this little section of their website where you can type in any make and model of a marine engine, your car engine, or whatever engine you're really looking for product for, and it'll put in exactly what type of oil you need for that specific engine, or the cleaner for that engine, whatever you would need. And I think that is a great tool. If you are somebody like me who knows nothing about motors or engines, you just type in your information for what you know about your motor, and then does it for you. So yeah, go visit liquamolly.com and go check them out.
Appreciate you listening.
Absolutely.
God bless you. We'll talk to you next time.
I'm Hank Parker.
There you go. Good.